This morning's guest is a sign of hope and promise for the Coastal Regional Outreach Center of the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind. Who is she? You'll meet her coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Coastal Regional Outreach Center of the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind. We're focused on the center and its many activities, and we're visiting with its director, Dorothy Bambach. Good morning, Dorothy.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you so much for hosting us all week. It's been already kicked off yesterday. Great way to kick off the week, and of course all week long. A lot going on right now with the school.
Yes, we're delighted that you're here, as we've worked together in the past, and I know the community learned so much about us through your efforts to help our word get out there.
You remember a couple of years ago when we were at your other location here in Conway, you had folks from all over the state that had traveled in for that week.
Yes, it's very good.
Interviews.
You know, people really don't know exactly what we do here, so we welcome this kind of an opportunity to let the community know that we don't really have deaf children here or blind children right at our premise, but yet we offer contracted services to the school districts that do serve the students around here.
You do have folks pop in here, and of course right here on Main Street at 212 Main Street here in Conway, you have folks pop in on a regular basis.
Oh, sure we do, and as you know, when you did your tour before, when you arrived, you saw we have all wealth of information on deafness and blindness related topics. You know, we'll get phone calls, people looking to find us in the telephone book, and we get many calls from people of macular degeneration, and they want to know what resources are there, so we will refer them on also.
Right.
And, you know, because we are on a main street here, as you mentioned, right off this beautiful little bridge in Conway, we do get people that see our sign and come in.
Are many of the other outreach centers around the state similar, where they're in a prime location that they encourage folks to come in, or is it principally, you've got how many locations around the state?
Well, right now we've got another office that under my supervision in Florence.
Right. That's right.
We have Charleston, and they just moved to another new location in downtown Charleston. And we have Rock Hill, a small office up there, and a larger one in Columbia. Right. And then in the Piedmont regional office, which is on the campus at Spartanburg.
You know, with the interest recently in persons, in deaf persons and in blind persons. I think you mentioned Marlee Matlin and Governor David Patterson.
Yes.
Recently, I mean, I highlighted it. It draws a little extra attention in the national as well as on the local sphere to persons.
I know, and you know, I think it shows us something, all of us, that, you know, deaf people and blind people are not objects of pity. They're people that need support and accommodations and services. I mean, look at Marlee.
Marlee Matlin.
Yes, I'm just so proud of her watching that show every week to see how she's dancing, and look at the stereotypes that she's breaking that people might have had. And then the governor of New York State, who is now just recently made it. And he is blind, and he is certainly leading the way.
He really is. He really is, and he is definitely not. He is going all the way. I mean, he's making a real commitment to make sure folks don't recognize them that way or think about it as any more of a deficiency.
You know, it's all about their humanity, their humanness, their interests, and their uniqueness. They are human first, who happen to be either deaf or blind. As we, you know, want everybody in the community to know that when we do our public speaking events. You know, even when we speak, we should try to always put the person first. It's a person who is blind, a person who is deaf.
That's very important, Dorothy. Folks oftentimes will lose their sight later in life. They've had vision for much of their lives, or of course, many of the children you're working with are folks that are children that have had this, had issues since birth.
That's correct, And with an aging population, you know, we see people who are losing their vision because of macular degeneration or glaucoma. There are two big ones around South Carolina that, you know, and it's sad, you know, you'll pick up the phone here and a woman might be crying, saying, I just don't know what to do. I've lost my sight, I'm losing it, and it's a new way of life for me, and what can we do? And then we go into business there. We'll refer them to the Commission for the Blind.
Right.
We have many different kinds of catalogs that we'll put in the mail for them.
Really?
To give them different things around their home, that they can get little adapters for the kitchen, for example, to help them know which button to press on the microwave.
Right.
Just little things like that. And We also participate in the low vision support group that meets here in Myrtle Beach on a monthly basis to make sure they know about that group of people, to talk to others who are going through the same disability acceptance and awareness that others in our local area have been doing. I have something I wanted to show you today, Greg, if
Yeah,
that's okay.
Dorothy, thank you. Sure.
One of the things that our outreach division did 3 years ago was get a grant from South Carolina Developmental Disabilities Council.
Right.
And we have been going around the state of South Carolina training hospitals on how to deal effectively with patients who are deaf or blind. And one thing we do is we acquired these special goggles, and we asked the nurses and medical staff to put the goggles on, and they simulate. We can change the lenses, and this one simulates macular degeneration. This one simulates cataract, if you want to just take a
Yeah,
peek.
absolutely. Oh, boy. You said the left one simulates
Macular degeneration
and the right one cataract. Golly, Dorothy, that's and so that would be a permanent, I mean, a virtually permanent.
Or getting worse with age and the length of time that people have these impairments happening. So I guess our message is that it's not just that you become completely blinded in the world of darkness. You can have a foggy vision.
Right.
You can have peripheral vision, central vision, and that's an accommodation of how you could, continue to read. So that's some of the things that we do in our awareness training. Is
The
use
hospitals, the
something like
staff,
this,
you
the
can see the
staff.
kind of impact that it makes on them quickly. I mean, they
Oh.
can have a much better appreciation for what the
Yes.
patients they're dealing with are going through.
Right, and then we also have a special video or an audio tape that plays that removes hearing loss segments.
Is that
So
right?
people, the nurses, get to hear as if they had a sensory neural hearing loss. And we actually have a trainer who was deaf and a trainer who was blind. And that's very great impact. So as I said, we've done 30 hospitals all over the state. Now we're doing schools of nursing and DHEC, regional DHEC offices. Their DHEC people run our hurricane shelters
Sure.
and run our clinics where they might have an opportunity to treat patients who are deaf or blind. So it's received rave reviews. And next year when our grant is done, we will still have the program available on a cost basis to cover the costs only, since
Right.
we are a state agency, but of putting this road show on, with an interpreter and 4 trainers. It's a 2-hour program. It's just been fun, very fun for us to deliver the program, and we've had huge crowds, and it's gone over very well. And that's an outreach function of our school.
Absolutely. So many things that persons don't think about on a daily basis. When we think about hospitals and the impact that if a nurse or a doctor are dealing with a patient that's either visually impaired or hearing impaired, to have to get their issues across, it can be really something that they need some special training on.
It's communication, and it's a way of having them feel more comfortable in leading. We even teach them how to walk correctly, how to guide a person who is blind by using their elbow, how to go into an emergency room and approach a patient who is deaf or blind.
Right.
And that's what we teach.
Dorothy, if a viewer needs to get off to work now or get family off to school, is
Sure.
there a good phone number for someone to learn more about coming in, possibly coming by to learn more about the school and y'all's outreach service, as well as, of course, our viewers in the PD, if they were calling this office, you could give them the PD number as well.
Well, sure. I would call our number at 843
Right.
248-8100.
Okay.
And we have an administrative assistant here. If I'm out on a training, the phone is answered and the information is given immediately.
Right. Very important. Of course, as you said, I think you've got some other great props today. We did want to take a few minutes to highlight an upcoming golf tournament. I believe part of the reason we wanted to get together this week and prompted us coming over was the opportunity. I think last year you were with us when we were at Wells Fargo, I believe, in Myrtle Beach, up on 38th, highlighting the golf tournament. How did it turn out last year?
Oh, we had a very successful event. We had a nice sunny day, but not
Yes.
too much humidity. It's in June, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
June event. And we had nearly 100 golfers.
Is that right? Great.
Yes, and somebody even got a hole-in-one.
Oh, come on.
How rare is that?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been going over well, and we had our first international visitor.
Really?
People from England were in the area for a week,
Right.
and they decided they would, help us out in our fundraising event, and they were there. So we are international now, Greg. So I hope they come back.
Tremendous. Yeah,
this
let's
year.
hope so. From many countries.
Yeah, so it will be June 14th, and we're changing our location for this year. We'll be
Okay.
at Beechwood golf
Oh,
club
great. It'll be
up
at Beechwood.
in North Myrtle Beach. It'll be 9 o'clock in the morning with a shotgun start. That's $60 a person we charge, and now we're looking for gifts and we're looking for whole sponsorships right now.
There are sponsorships available.
Yes, we still have a few left, so if anyone would like to have a nice little sign propped up by a hole, we'd love to accommodate their advertising needs.
Absolutely. They'd want to call the 843-248-8100 number.
Yes.
That's the best number?
That's
okay.
about our golf tournament.
You've got some great auction items donated year after year. I think
Yes.
you all have been having the tournament. This must be the fourth or fifth. Is that right? The fourth year.
One.
Great. Share with viewers real quick about how the tournament kicked off. I think I remember the connection of someone who had been in, who had taken classes here, and of course that's something else important for people to think about.
Sure. The sign language classes that we offer American Sign Language 1, 2, and Tiny Fingers. Tiny Fingers is for hearing parents that have hearing children, because we know that sign language is very important in helping all children's literacy because you're using another sense.
Right.
But to go back to the golf tournament, through teaching sign language class, one of our students was attorney Angela Elliott.
Yes.
And Angela wanted to learn basic signs in case she had any deaf clients come to her door. So Angela came to the class and we became kind of friends, knowing that she was from North Myrtle Beach too, where my husband and I live. And she said, well, what about doing some fundraising? My father has a golf course. So it was Senator Elliott's golf course and his sponsorship and assistance to us. He's been very generous with us up at Eagle Nest. So we ran the event 3 years there, and this year we're switching to Beechwood. But it was through a sign language class, one of our programs in the community, and that's how it happened. And we use that money. This year we've done some very different things to utilize and give back the profit from that golf tournament to our local community.
Right.
One of them was a White Cane Day.
Back in October.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was a great
very
day.
well received.
What we did was, and we started off asking our mayor here of
in Conway. Okay, Greg
Martin, to give us a proclamation, and then we included the Conway Federation of the Blind. And, you know, we have many Federation of the Blind local chapters, and the South Carolina State Federation of the Blind, the president is from Myrtle Beach.
Is that right?
Yes, this is his picture. He's an attorney Parnell Diggs.
Parnell Diggs, yes.
And he is blind and a wonderful attorney. And he led off the day with reading the proclamation. And
you had a great attendance there. I know viewers can't see all these pictures, but it's great to have a scrapbook available as well for folks coming here to the office.
You know what we did, Greg? We set up our parking lot here.
Yeah, let me see.
212
I'll try to
Main
hold
Street.
that up. Let's see if our director can get anything there. It may be tough to get much there, but still to get a feel, sure.
What we did was we put the goggles on passers-by who wanted to get involved, and we had white canes there, and we set up some obstacles, and we called it White Cane Lane.
I see that. I see White Cane Lane. What a great idea.
They got the opportunity to understand more about the impact of blindness. It was a wonderful day. We had all the
people of all ages.
Exactly. The agency people that also offer services. There's Braille workers. There's a Lutheran church in Myrtle Beach, you know, that does Braille Bible production.
I didn't know that.
So they were here, and we had some of our students on the credenza behind us. We have a picture of one of our clients, and that was taken at White Cane Day, and he's reading some Braille, and he went right and read one of the pages in the Bible. And this was very edifying for the production workers who never really actually saw a blind person reading what they produced here in Myrtle Beach in Braille. It was wonderful, heartwarming as could be. So we'll probably do this as a yearly event. White Cane Safety Day, the goal of it is to educate the motorists to be more respectful if they see a person trying to cross the street with a white cane. So we had about 20 people with white cane cross here from our office and go right across the street to City Hall. It was magnificent, you know, and the police held back traffic a little bit.
Right.
It was kind of like a 60s event, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to raise awareness
Sure.
of a minority group walking the street with the canes. So the whole thing was to educate the community, and that's really what we're all about here, too.
Absolutely,
That was a
Dorothy.
fun event.
That's fabulous.
What you
Well, I'm
mean?
sure glad, and hopefully this is something you'll do in the PD, as
think-
well as at the beach, particularly with the Lutheran Church, that connection there and their commitment to persons that
You know, you think
visually
because
impaired.
we're such a tourist destination here, but yet the people, when you get to live here for a few years and get to know the community and the individuals, we're really a small town.
It sure is, even though you're over a very large, the
Uh-huh.
Coastal Regional Outreach Center, and of course the Florence office, you're spending a lot of time in the PD area as well, Dorothy.
Yes, we have the early intervention services there too. We have a specialist on deaf blindness for the state. And she works with both little ones who are deaf and blind. So we have a head count, we offer services for them. And we have a gentleman, Marty McKenzie. You met him before.
Right, of course, sure.
Marty now is a contractor for the Department of Education, and he is their expert on dealing with children who are blind in public schools too, as well as working for us.
That's tremendous, Dorothy.
So we have similar things that go on in that office.
You've
too.
kept great connections throughout the state, and of course, I'm sure you all are learning from each other on a regular basis as we think about for parents whose children are either born visually impaired or hearing impaired, or it surely strikes them at an early age. What are some of the, for yourself and your involvement, this is a number of years, Dorothy, seeing this, are there some ways that parents can deal with that if they're not visually or hearing impaired at an early age?
You mean with sign language now is one thing that we're knowing, that there is research that indicates that sign language can help all youngsters improve their literacy. So that's what I mentioned before, we teach tiny fingers, and that's what that is. It's basic sign. Well, you're not signing everything like we do with deaf kids,
Right.
but a key important word, like if we're talking about animals or milk or food or bathroom. We had one grandmother tell me that they were able to toilet train their youngster very early because, you see, you can form a sign before you can form a spoken word. So they started using the sign for bathroom.
Is that
right away? You have to go to the bathroom? You have to go to the bathroom? And as soon as the youngster indicated that they needed to go,
Right.
the parent would take them where they needed to be, and before you know it, the youngster started going
Oh
before they
my.
could say the word, and like at 16.
That was someone around here, Dorothy.
Yes,
That's
so
tremendous.
there's lots of success stories, and that's one thing we're going to be doing coming up in the future. In September, we're going into a partnership with Horry Georgetown Technical College, and we're bringing in a nationally renowned expert on the use of sign language with hearing children to enhance their literacy. So that's going to be a day-long workshop right here. And if viewers are interested in that, they can call me here about that. And we're right now finalizing the details.
Okay.
But we hope to have 250 people at that program.
Is that right? Great.
And offering credits for child care workers and in any kind of a childhood center. It would be for parents. It would be for professionals in early childhood education.
I think you have a date already set for that.
Yes, it's Friday, September 26th.
Friday, 9/26. Friday, September 26th. Okay, well, folks can go ahead and get that down on their calendar.
Right. Yeah, it'll be a day-long event with lunch provided by the Horry Georgetown Tech students. So it's a nice partnership.
Absolutely. One of the other things we wanted to talk about, Dorothy, is we think about hurricane evacuation planning
Oh,
and
yes.
issues for a multitude of people that you all deal with.
Yeah, our outreach center has been very active working with the local DHEC, local Red Cross, and we're setting up a specialized center here in Horry County for people who are deaf or blind, and we're going to have specialized equipment.
Oh,
and
great.
that's what I have here to show you. At one of our centers that will be specialized, we will, as one of our offerings of our school through the South Carolina Telecommunications Distribution Program,
Right.
we have telephones, like this is called the CapTel. Now let's say you're someone who
Yeah,
has...
I can hold that up as you talk about it, Dorothy.
This is very new technology. Let's say that you have lost your hearing, but you still retain your speech.
Right.
So you could speak on the phone, but you can't hear. This is captioning. So you can read the telephone message and still respond by voice. That's called the CapTel. This piece of equipment, while we're putting one in the emergency shelter, is also free to anyone who qualifies in the state of South Carolina. It's called CapTel. The other phone that we have
absolutely.
is for a person who might be blind.
Let's see which...
It has Braille on it. So the numbers are large, and they're white on black for high contrast, for a person who has low vision and also brailled. Okay, so this would be for a person who is blind but might be losing their hearing.
Right. Oh, boy.
Yes, that would need an amplified phone with large numbers. That's free also. And of course our standard, these are called TTYs, or telecommunications devices.
I remember
for
it
the
when
deaf.
we were here filming a few years ago at your other Conway location formerly.
And at this location too, we have samples of all these phones here that viewers could stop by and see what they look like, and we can give them one of the applications to fill out to get this free telephone.
Those are provided free
yes,
throughout the state.
Through our South Carolina telecommunications distribution program that is monitored and under the overseeing of our school. And all you need to be is a resident of South Carolina,
Right.
have a land phone line or ground line in your home, and have a sign-off by perhaps an audiologist or your family doctor that you could benefit. And this is free to anyone in the state. It's
That's
a wonderful
tremendous,
program,
Dorothy.
and we have all the information you'd like to know about.
They'll have a lot of programs that folks probably don't know about it, why it's so important to call,
Right.
or anyone to call the office, the 843-248-8100 number.
Right.
And of course, for folks who are not here in the area, if they are throughout the state, each of the outreach centers are in a
Yes.
position to interface much in the same way.
And of course, the school has an 800 number,
Okay.
and on our website, I would expect that they would go to the website.
Sure, you want to give us that
Yes,
that address?
it's www.scsdb.org.
scsdb.org.
Right.
Oh boy, we should be promoting that throughout. www.scsdb.
Right.
South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind.org.
.org, right.
Okay, great.
So, and that's a little bit about the telecommunications piece of what we do. It's very important, in this age and time when communications are so critical.
Dorothy, normally we'd open the interview talking about your background, but just for viewers, this has been a love of yours for many, many years.
Yeah, a long time.
What prompted your original, or was this someone in your family who was either visually or hearing impaired, something that prompted, or yourself even? Any concerns that at an early age, oftentimes parents may have some issues that prompt their great interest?
Well, actually, my background is teaching the deaf. So I retired to South Carolina after a career in Pennsylvania at a school for the deaf.
Is that right?
Where I was a teacher, and then I was a guidance counselor, and finally I retired as the administrator of the school. But in that job, it was a small school, so I had to do a lot of different kinds of jobs,
Right.
like working with the media and grant writing and things. So it prepared me very well for this position.
To retire.
To retire and come to
And
South
come to South
Carolina,
Carolina, yes.
And meet and work with the people who are deaf in this state. And one of the greatest things that happened when I came here, I met one of my former students who also relocated, who I taught 30 years ago, and he lives in Myrtle Beach.
Is that right?
Such a small world.
That's tremendous, Dorothy. That's tremendous. The South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind, their main facility there in Spartanburg, folks, they encourage folks to come up as well and take tours. That is one of a kind.
It's a beautiful, beautiful campus. It's got a school for the deaf, a school for the blind, a school for students with multiple challenges, a post-secondary program, and also a therapeutic horseback riding. On many acres. They have beautiful animals right there for our students and for community students who could benefit by such a program, the shelter program. So it's a one-stop place for any kind of educational needs of people who are deaf or blind.
It's worthy folks taking the trip to Spartanburg to see the facility and having a greater understanding of what persons around them are potentially going through.
By all means. It's a decision that parents make with their home school district, is to use the facility on campus. And certainly that is a parent right issue. But certainly it would behoove all parents of all kids who are deaf or blind to see the offering that what a residential school. And you might see our buses. Our students from Myrtle Beach area go back and forth every weekend. They don't stay there all week. They come home and have weekends with the parents.
Every weekend?
Every weekend they're on buses. Yes.
Just this past, literally for another week, but it was celebrated at the Horry County Museum during the month of March, but I believe it's mid-March to mid-April,
Yes,
Deaf History
that's
Observation Month. And what's been the principal focus there? We've got less than a minute, Dorothy. I'm sorry we've run out of time.
Well,
but we sure want to get you back. But as it relates to, just share with viewers what they would have seen had they visited the Horry County Museum during the month of March.
Well, deafness is a culture. It's a subculture, and as part of any culture is a history. And deaf people have a history. In this country, from the very first school for the deaf in 1817, that's when our real history started here. in deaf education with Gallaudets, and they started the first school. And our school in Spartanburg was founded in 1849, so we've been here a long time too. So it focused on the struggles, the events, the progress of the deaf community in America from that time about in the early 1800s to the present.
That's tremendous. Well, it's important to just to know recognizing the month and obviously all the efforts you all do, and hopefully folks will continue to pop in and see this tremendous facility right here at 212 Main Street in Conway. Dorothy, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
You're welcome, Greg. Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Dorothy Bambach, the director of the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind's Coastal Regional Outreach Center. Coming up next. 843-248-8100. Take the time to write that number down, 843-248-8100, whether you're living here, living in the PD. Of course, the tremendous opportunity to learn more about the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind, www.scsdb.org, a great website, a ton of information. The events, the 4th annual golf tournament to benefit the Coastal Regional Outreach Center. It's Saturday, June 14th, out at Beechwood Golf Course, 9 a.m. Shotgun start. Get out there. Take the time to learn more. Give them a call, 843-248-8100. Dorothy Bambach, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Absolutely.